Good morning, students. This is Saurabh Gupta, Assistant Professor, BBD University, and today I'm going to speak on the topic of essentials of business communication, wherein I'm going to deal with the aspects of oral and written communication. So basically, you all have studied in your unit one, that what is communication and what are the gimmicks of communication and how the communication is going to deal. To add on to it further, I'm going to start with the communication aspects, and then I'm going to also tell you about that what exactly is oral communication and written communication. So to begin with, we are going to first focus upon that what exactly do we mean by the term communication. Like you all know that in today's scenario, communication is simply the act of transferring the information from one person to another person or group to another. So talking about communication is all about how well are you going to transfer your information from one person to another. Every communication involves at least one sender and a message or a recipient. So in today's lecture, what I am doing is I am the sender and you all are the recipients, and you all are receiving the message in the context of what and how I am going to deliver to you all. This may be simple sound, but in actually it's a very complex subject. So to just add on to it, I'm going to just tell on the aspect of that. Though just it's a transfer of information from one person to another person, and though it is a very simple process that you just have to transfer the information from one person to another person, and that's all. But in reality, it's a very complex process. Why and how I'm going to deliver it in the few lectures. The transmission of the message from the sender to the recipients can be affected by a huge range of things. This includes our emotions, culture situations, medium, communicate, and even our locations. So, we all are aware of that aspect that communication is going to deal with the emotions, the ideas, but since there are various of the things which affect the communication considerably, of which emotions, cultural situations, location, and medium chosen for communication purpose makes it a very disturbing. At times, it's disturbing, and at times, it's also not up to the mark. So, what and how the communication can be improved? All these things are in the few of the upcoming slides. Most of the world demands that communication is going to deal with various kind of impediments. Yes, there are various impediments, and the biggest of all is noise. Now, say for instance, we all are making a lecture out of it, or I'm delivering a lecture, and say for instance, a sound of any kind of sound interferes. It is just going to hamper the way which I'm going to deliver, or it is going to hamper the way in the absence or in the manner which I'm going to deliver to you all. So communication is just an ambiguous. It has to be accurate, it has to be effective, and for that you all have to understand the gimmicks of communication. Now, what exactly is the importance of communication? Now, many of us say that communication is why communication is important, or say for instance, when the human life evolved. So, what happened that communication played a very important role in our human life. Communication has a very important role in our day-to-day activities also. According to Herter A. Murphy, effective communication is the lifeblood of organization and key to success in your business, career, as well as your personal life. Now, if you just look at your organization itself, any kind of organization, may it be a kind of a online organization or a virtual organization or a real organization, the success of any organization depends upon the way the people communicate within itself. Now, why do we say, yeah, why, why I'm saying that importance of communication is going to play a very, very crucial role. It is just because of the fact that any organization, if is going to incur any kind of business activities or is going to incur any kind of important activities, that all have to be done on the basis of communication itself only. So to begin with the importance, I'm just going to begin with the few of the importance of it. That it acts as an international, it is going to help in international and national markets. Now, why it is there in it is important for international and national market? Because the reason, communication helps in development of international and national market. This is the age of big business. Many business houses are so large that they are either empires. They are also termed as empires. Nowadays, the modern business has not remained the local business. It has expanded the geographical boundaries. So, if I'm going to emphasize upon the very first point, that it is very, very important for both the national and international business. So whether it may be a national business or it's an international business, communication is of utmost importance for both the kinds of business, because unless and until you're going to communicate, whether in international proxemics or in the national proxemics, you won't be able to satisfy the essence of business. And the essence of business is profit. And in order to earn profit, you have to have consumers or customers base. So basically, it's all about how you are going to attract your international and national markets. Communication is of very, very utmost importance, because it is going to help you to understand the psyche, to understand the basic business opportunities of people. Second point, it helps in effective business. Communication acts as the effective business. A business spends 90% of its time in communicating. This means that unless he is effective, speedy, and uses best means of instrument, he will be wasting valuable time and will lag behind his rivals. Now, excuse me, if you just have a look on what is going to make business more effective, communication is going to make it more effective, because the way businessman communicates, the way businessman interacts with its beings, whether inside the organization or outside the organization, communication plays a very, very important role. Say for instance, you are a businessman, and you want that your company should grow on, and it should do a quantum of business, and it should attain the zenith. What is the essence of it? Essence to deliver the best and to get the best is communication only. Because unless and until you're going to communicate with your employees, unless and until you're going to communicate your things to the employees or to the people who are outside the world, or who are coming into the company, or they are investing into the company, you won't be able to actually deliver what you want. Because 90% time of the businessman is totally dependent upon communication. Because unless and until you communicate, you won't be able to suffice the needs. Help in better coordination. Say for example, a particular company is there, whose boss comes into the company, sits on his chair, have a cup of coffee, and just do not do anything. He just opens his laptop, signs the documents, goes away. Now, whether this company will flourish, or in comparison to that particular company, there's a boss who is amiable in nature, who is amicable in nature, who is able to communicate to the employees, who listen to the employees, who is in a position to deliver his thoughts to the employees. Obviously, the second one is going to be best, because he is actually coordinating with the people. What does coordination means? Unless and until you talk to your being, you understand their psyche, you understand their nature, you understand their behavior, you actually communicate the ideas, you won't be able to deliver or act as the way you want it to be. Next is image building. Communication is very, very important for building up of image, because communication leads the goodwill of organization. Now, unless and until the person is going to create or talk, because you talk more, you're going to emphasize on your qualities, you're going to emphasize upon your characteristics, and thus it is going to create a goodwill, because your way of interaction, your way of communicating, your way of delivering the thoughts is going to build an image into the mind of the people, because the way you say hi, the way you say hello, the way you treat people, treating is something very, very different from, because it's a non-verbal gesture, but the way you utter the soft words, the way you utter your communicational abilities, understand the ideas, and then talk, that is going to build a very, very effective image onto the company's base. Check on the competitors. It's a very, very important measure to check your competitors, because at times what happens, students, that competitors are not able to deliver their thoughts or deliver their things the way you want them to be, because unless and until you communicate in front of the competitors are not going to exactly, because competition is going to deal with yes, the essence of competitors, but in reality competition is can only be made possible by the way you communicate it to be. Assist to collect information. Communication is very, very helpful in assisting to collect information, because the more you communicate, the better you are informed, the better you are informed, the better you are able to tell people that what you want. Next is it avoid stress. Your emotions, your thoughts, your ideas, your tensions, all are needs to be communicated. They need to be flowed away. Like many of the people say that you all, those who are introvert in nature, that means who do not talk too much, who are not able to communicate their ideas, they have a kind of a essence within themselves, that is of essence of negativity. Now, to eradicate this stress, and this essence is going to create negativity in you, because the more you are stressful, the more you are negative, the more you won't be able to speak or utter the words, because the ultimate aim is to vent your thoughts. So, to venting for the venting of the thoughts, you need to communicate, and communication is a very, very important method to avoid stress. It is helpful for research and development activities. Yes, it is very much helpful for research and development activities, because the research and development activities are going to be there because of communication only. Say for instance, in the later span of your MBA only, you will be researching on the topics. So you will be given a topic to research, you will be given a kind of a topic to make a project upon. So you need to develop the questionnaire, you need to go to the consumers, you need to go to the people, need to go to the places and communicate, because unless you are going to communicate, ask questions, you won't be able to get the accurate data, the primary data, which is going to be helpful for your research. And communication is the best source for it. Better industrial relations. Communication is very, very helpful for better industrial relations, because better industrial relations can only be made with the help of communication. The relationship between the trade unions, the relationship between the top people and the people who are working within the company or down the company, the industrial relations can only be improved, they can be watched upon, they can be just improved upon or improvised upon with the help of communication only, because the more you communicate, the better you will be able to understand the nature of people working with you. And next is it increases the turnover. Communication is going to increase the turnover. How it increases turnover? Because communication is going to create the consumer database, and by creating the consumer database, the sellability of the product is going to be there, and the sellability of the product is going to increase the market turnover or the market productivity of any company. Now that was all about importance of communication. I hope that you all have a better idea that why communication is important. Now let us now move on to the types of communication. In your course, you have been given two types of communication: oral communication and written communication. But to elaborate upon it, I'm going to first divide the communication into various parts. Now, as you all can see in this diagram, that communication is being broadly classified on the basis of three bases. There are three bases of communication. First is on the basis of expression, method, and media. On the second is on the basis of flow of information. Next is on the basis of organizational relationships. Now, what is happening? The first and the foremost thing we are going to divide upon the communication is communication based upon expressions, methods, and medias. Now, the types of communication which is going to just come out of these type of on the basis is verbal communication and non-verbal communication, because it is based upon the method, that means the way, the media, that means the channel, the expression, that means what mannerisms are going to be incurred upon to just move on for these type of communication. So the first is verbal communication and the second is non-verbal communication. Verbal communication can be divided into the oral communication and written communication. And non-verbal communication can be divided into visual communication, audio communication, audio visual communication, then your gestures communication, passive communication, and communication through actions. These things are all non-verbal. In the later slides of mine, I'm also going to take the lecture upon the non-verbal communication. It's very interesting and it's very engrossing also, because verbal communication and non-verbal communication are the two best ways to communicate the inner soul, the inner being, the inner essence of any of the human beings. The next basis is on the basis of flow of information. Flow of information can be based upon the three wide categories. First is horizontal communication. Next is vertical communication. The vertical communication is divided into two parts. Upward communication, that means when the communication moves from the lower people, that means the workers, to the dignitaries working in an organization, that is a vertical communication, upward communication. And downward communication, when the boss or the main people working in your organization passes on the orders or notices or any of the things, circulars, so that each and every member working in the company can be able to determine that yes, this is the thing which I need to work upon. And cross-wise communication, that means if you're sitting in HR department, the people from HR department sitting on one place is going to communicate with the HR department of the other place, the crosswise, or you can say the wheel type. And the last is on the basis of organization relationships. Now, on the basis of relationships, what is relationships? The relationships can be of formal nature, they can be formal, they can be informal. Because formal means you are going into the company, bidding hi, hello, or respectable tone, in a very respectable tone. And informal communication means that when with the same person you're going to meet in the party, the informal communication is going to arise. It is based upon the relationship. It is based upon the situations. Communication, formal communication and informal communication are based upon the situations and the relationship criteria of the employee and the employer. So to begin with, let's begin with the concepts of oral communication. Oral communication implies through mouth. Obviously, it's through mouth. It includes conversing with each other, be it direct conversation or telephonic conversation, speeches, presentations, discussions are all forms of oral communication. Oral communication is generally recommended when communication matters is of temporary kind and where the direct interaction is required. Now, you can just have a very glimpse of it that what exactly is oral communication. Oral communication is when like in the definition or in the slides, it is going to say that it is recommended that when the matter is of temporary kind means it is not going to linger on for a very very longer period of time. It's not in written, it's not in the practice, it's just of temporary kind for some time only. Face-to-face communication, meetings, lectures, conferences, interviews are all oral communication. Like what I am delivering you is oral communication, and it is significant because it is based upon the rapport and the trust. Now, why oral communication is significant? Oral communication is significant just because it is based on the rapport and the trust of human beings. The trust between the student and the teacher is going to make a student liable to attend a lecture which is oral in nature, and it is the trust only that is going to make the lecture possible. So we are just going to give a definition aspects also. In definition of oral communication, Ricky W. Giffen and S. Capper uh, gave they gave the communication definition. Oral communication takes place when spoken words are used to transfer information and understand form of one person to another person. Now, it's all upon the essence of oral. That means mouth. That means transferring the information by using the medium of mouth. It will all depend upon the pitch, volume, speed, clarity of speaking. Like in oral communication, the very, very important aspect is the pitch, volume, speed, and clarity. Say, for example, the pitch I use in delivering a lecture, I can raise my pitch, I can make my pitch smaller. I can I can make my volume go very very loud, and I can make my volume go very very simpler to you. I can make the speed of it, and I can make the speed of it. The clarity of the communication is going to depend upon the oral communication applicability. So it's all the essence of oral communication is based upon the pitch, the volume, the speed, and the clarity, the way, the mannerism a person is going to deliver his lectures or is going to utter the words on telephone, conversation, face to face communication. Because at times, what happens that the medium or the media which you use is not too much to applicable or is not too much to voice in nature that you are not able to deliver what you actually want. So, in order to make your face to face skills much more effective and in order to make your oral communication much more effective, you need to focus upon the pitch, volume, speed, and clarity of speaking. Now, what and why do we need communication? That too, an oral communication. Out of all the essential requirement of the teacher, to me, oral communication is essentially most important. The way you communicate with the student determine how they like you, how much they listen to you, and how much they understand. Like you all in this particular lecture are listening to me, are listening to my words, are listening to my things. This all means that you are actually understanding each and every word and listening and liking the way I'm delivering you. So it is all upon the way you are required, the way the basic need of oral communication is by the teachers who actually, not only by the teachers but by the people who actually want to make anyone uh, make him like you, make him understand you, him or her understand you, listen to you, and the way you want to react, he or she is going to react in the same manner. The best teacher are able to change the communication based on the situations they are who are talking are incredibly difficult to skill to master. See, talking or speaking is a very very complex issue. The improvisation of words, the improvisation of thoughts, the meaning of words, the meaning of thoughts might be different what I am going to deliver to you and what you are actually understanding. So you need to be very very simple, you need to be acute in your speaking, you need to be very very clear in your thoughts. When speaking in front of your class, you should be speaking clearly with confidence. Whether it is in front of class, whether it is in front of audience, the way you communicate should be loud, not loud, it should be equal in volume, it should be clear and precise, and that too with confidence, because confidence is just going to matter. If you tell your students that you already know, they feel like they are being talked down. Now, say for example, I know about communication. You all know about communication. If I'm not going to deliver something extra, something new, you will be just walked off. This is a very very exhaustive lecture, and the teacher is just going on and on with the communication aspects. So for that, I need to be presenting my views in a manner that is going to add something new to the element. Finally, communication is most difficult in dealing with the problems. I have always been a type of student who easily upset if I get in trouble. Now, talking about myself only, that I am a kind of a student that when I was just being taught by my teacher, and the moment I do not understand, I just get irritated that what teacher is saying, and I just go off and on, and I just don't pay any attention. So to make the student or to make someone attract towards you, you need to talk to him in a very very poised, composed, and in a very very communicable, that means the way he or she want, you need to communicate it in the exact tone. Advantage of oral communication: there are advantages because it's less expensive. Obviously, you are using your energy, you are using your gadgets, it is not just going to add on, not going to add any kind of stationary or any electronic devices. You are using your mouth, your energy, and delivering the lectures or delivering thoughts. It saves time. Excuse me. Yes, it saves a time lot. Oral communication saves a lot of time. And say for example, talking in your language only, or to give you something which is going to be very very practical in nature, it saves lots of time. The moment you use a word orally in front of anyone, you will be able to get the instant reaction. The next advantage is immediate feedback only. So it saves time, and it is going to provide immediate feedback, are both interrelated. That means, say for example, just talking about you people only, and you all just like this thing a lot. um, you go and propose someone, and you use the method of writing. You will get a feedback, or you will not get a feedback. The kind of lingering thought will come into your mind, and you won't be able to just make up the thing, and you're going to be in dejection or in appraisal, whatever the situation may be. But the moment you say or utter a very very those three magical words of yours, and you will get a very very instant feedback, by in a form of a very very kind of a very positive sense, or in a negative sense and positive sense, let's not discuss it, but it's going to save time a lot. So oral communication is going to save a time and is going to provide immediate feedback. it is less expensive, and personal contact can be made upon oral communication only. Just by talking to someone, you will be able to attract him towards yourself, and you will be able to improvise your situation. You can't improvise the thing in written communication. For that, you need to read it, you need to write it, you need to go on with it. But in oral communication, you can just improvise upon, you can just change the thought immediately, you can change the things immediately. Next is, it is useful in difficult situations. Yes, oral communication is very, very useful in difficult situations. There are certain situations which are very, very difficult. Say, for example, you come to the class late. Teacher asks, why you are late, or why you bunked my class yesterday. You cannot, you are going to, if you are going to say, ma'am, I have an application for that. Teacher reads it, teacher find it true, it can be a positive sense for you, and if the teacher find it's in a negative sense, it can go in negative sense to you. But the way you communicate, the way you tell your thoughts to the teacher, the difficult situation can be of advantages to you all. Don't use it, but it's a practical thing. Cooperative spirit, yes, it is going to provide cooperative spirit to the to the people by making a cooperative nature. That means cooperation is going to be involved by oral communications itself. Use in secret matters, yes, it is very, very helpful in using the secret matters, because oral communication is of a very, very useful for some kind of secrets and confidential matters. Persuasiveness, it is going to persuade you, you can win over the people by your own viewpoints. You can make him, those saints, those people who talk of great, great thoughts, those great learners, how they persuade you, they talk a lot, they make your sense a lot. Use all kind of useful for all kind of audiences. Yes, oral communication is useful for all kind of audiences, because whether an illiterate person or a literate person, the oral communication can be useful for various type of people of various kinds. Disadvantages: there are no legality, there is lack of accountability, low reference value, greater scope of error. Yes, no legality. That means that there is nothing in writing. You cannot say that this is a thing which is in writing, and say, for example, if I say to you orally that I'm going to give you $100, you just do this work, and later on you do this work, and I say, no, no, I'm not, I do not know you. So there is no legality in this. Lack of accountability is of oral nature. There is no accountable factor for, you cannot make anyone accountable for anything. Low reference value. An oral communication cannot be stored, it has a very, very little reference value. Greater scope of error, yes, there is a greater scope of error in oral communication, because uh, at times whatever you want to say and whatever you there is there in your mind, there is no link between it, and you go on and on, but there's no link between it, so greater scope of error can be there. Next is, it is easily forgotten. You can say, I forgot. You orally say, yes, I forgot this thing. So uh, oral communication is of total waste, you can say. Not exactly waste, but it's the kind of, you there is a short term human memory, because if you say that 10 years later or 10 years before you promised me to buy a bike to you, now how will I remember 10 years later and when I promised you? So this can be easily forgotten, and not time of 10 years. You can forget it in within a fraction of seconds or fraction of minutes only, depending upon the nature and situations. Not useful for longer distances. Yes, oral communication is not at all useful for longer distances, because if you just go on with the telephone talks, the oral communication is not at all useful for telephone talks of any of the natures. Types of oral communication. If you just look on for the types of oral communication, there are various types. There are face-to-face communication, telephonic communication, discussing upon the business meetings, more formal types of presentations, classroom lectures, commencement of orientations, and speech of ceremony. So, to begin with, let us first focus upon the face-to-face communication. Face-to-face communication is a concept of sociology, linguistic, media, and communication. Studies describing social interaction carried out without any mediating technology. Face to face interaction is defined as mutual influence of individual direct physical presence with his or her body language. Face to face interaction is one of the basic elements of social streaming, forming a significant part of individuals' socializations and experiencing gaining through the one's lifetime. Now, face to face communication. Now, as you can see in the diagram itself, the face to face communication of this is going to tell you the gesture, the momentum. The moment you face to face or communicate anyone facially, that means in person, uh, the thoughts of yours or the manner in which you speak is going to be different in the manner of video conferencing. Like you all are listening to me by using this video lectures of mine. But the moment we meet, that means after the situation get nullify or the situation get better, the lecture which we are going to communicate face to face in the face to face manner can create a very good impact because facial expressions, facial gestures, not only of mine but also of yours, can be communicated to me. You can the kind of frowns, the kind of skeptical faces, the kind of faces psychology, linguistic problems, media communications can be made by using the facial expressions or face to face communication considerably, because face to face communication is going to depend upon totally the concept of sociology, because we all are social beings and we like to see each other, we like to understand each other, and to see each other and understand each other we need to have a communicational abilities, and for that oral communication of facial expressions or face-to-face communication proves to be a better option. Telephonic communication. Yes, telephone communication is a very important communication because it is carried between people. Subscribers separated by almost any distances can with the help of sound waves, they will be able to deliver the very essence of the lectures or the peoples. The electronic signals that are being transmitted from one person to another person using the oral communication is of utmost importance and is of great need, you can say. Switching the communication channels is required to set up a temporary connection between the subscriber and is carried out by central offices, either manually or semi automatically. So, telephone communication or communicating by using a telephone with an involvement, with an evolution of telephone, the situation of oral communication has improved. Yes, it has improved, but the subscribers or the telecommunicational companies are not able to deliver the way they should do, because some subscribers are getting very positive responses, like the people of Airtel are not working very well because the telephone communication. Say, for example, you're sitting over here and you dial an ISD number in US and you want to talk to the person. It will depend upon the signal, the efficiency, the broadcasting of it, the way the signals interpret and receives. It will all be communicable. So you need to actually understand that telephone communication, though has improved, though has changed the things considerably, but in reality, there is lot and lot of work to be done in this era also. So oral communication of telephonic communication, though has improved, but there's lots and lots of effort to be made. Now, communicating in a group or using a board meeting, they make it necessary task for every business. Making almost these times is a responsibility for meeting leaders. One key is conducting better meetings to understand the interesting relevant topics for discussions. So, to begin with, any kind of meeting, or like in the third type which we are focusing upon, that communication, if discussed in a board meeting or in a group discussion, you will be able to deliver the thoughts of yours, involving all the people. Like in the discussion, you can see in the diagram itself, or you can see in the picture itself, that this particular lady is communicating with all, and is trying to deliver the thoughts which is there in her mind to all the people. And at one single time, she is communicating not only with one but four of them. So the interaction and the thoughts delivered are being made to all the people. Oral communication has made it very, very practical, has made it possible, because oral communication has made your meetings easier. It has made your agendas easier. You will be able to discuss the things in a better manner, rather than writing each and everything on the paper and notices. You just discuss it in front of your colleagues, you in front of your people. It is going to just help your situation in a better manner and all. Second is giving an adequate, proper business meeting presentation. Now, what is presentation? In the last unit of yours, I'll be discussing upon the presentations skills also. So, presentation is all about how well or how better you will be able to actually make the things in a synchronized and in a formal manner. Because what is happening, the audience of your business era, the audience of your business people or business mediums have evolved considerably. So to make it attractive, or to make it formal, and to make it much more logical, you need to have an essence of it. You need to have something that is going to give your business an identity. So giving an effective presentation means working both upon the audience and the topic. Excuse me. It is important to know how to relate and to whom you relate with the communication. The business conferences actually calls upon the professional language, which is laid back style, more appropriate for some situations. Using note cards will with the clearly written points on it is a good way to remember what you want to say and in what order you want to say. See, making cue cards, making a present, how better or how best you can make your thing look much more attractive. You can make a cue card of it, you can make a practice session of it, you can just practice it beforehand in front of the mirror in one day before, and just deliver it in the on the main day. So what actually is happening, that in this type of oral communication, you are making a very, very formal gesture. You are making a formal way of presenting your thoughts. You are presenting your ideas, your emotions in a sequential way and in a logical sequence. Lecturing. Now, there is in one of the chapters delivering a lecture, Barbara Gross Davis has exclaimed or has mentioned the concept of lecturing, that lecturing is not simply a matter of understanding in front of the classroom and reciting what you know. The classroom lecture is a special form of communicating. Voice, gestures, movement, facial expressions, and eye contact can either complement or direct from the content. See, like I am communicating with you, I just cannot see that whether you are actually listening to me, or whether you are just you just have switched on this particular video and you have just you are just going on sleeping off it. I need to be very, very skeptical, and I need to be very, very choosy that which word or which thing is going to attract you. Because lecture of any kind or any time of any type, if is going to cross a certain boundary, or a certain time limit is going to be very, very cumbersome and is going to be very, very tedious. But though I understand this point, but the thing is that in this lecture or the lecture method of oral communication, you need to understand that basically lecturing is not an easy job, because many of you say that lecturing, you just have to deliver a lecture, you just have to recite in front of the audience or recite everything in front of your students, and that's all. No, it's practically your voice, your gestures, your movements, your facial expressions, your eye contact, the way you contact, the way you raise your voice, the way you make your gestures, the way you make your move, your facial expressions and all, they all are going to be delivered in your this particular lecture. And lecture method of technology, or lecture method of delivering your thoughts is actually going to make you feel that yes, whatever you have done or whatever you have made is of utmost important or not. The last is, starting college can cause much anxiety in the heart of a new college student, because all are unknown. What should be my major be? Will I be able to make friends? How I'm going to find my class? Who I'm going to ask? New students orientation program are designed to guide students in answering these questions. Prior to beginning the class of the students are given an overview of complete realm uh, of university, from academics to social activities. Through a period of referred to the orientation, typically a staff member or a team coordinates the orientation programs with the university and provides a lecture to bring the entire university together. So basically, on this particular slide of mine, what I have tried to communicate is that the last way or type of communicating orally is communicating through your oral speeches given in the orientation program, in the induction program, or in any kind of ceremony, in any type of ceremony. You need to deliver an oral communication. See, what is happening? You all have entered BBD for the very first time. And after qualifying your BCom or BBA or whatever your graduation was, what the thought into your mind was that I'll be doing an MBA, something new, something very, very extraordinary. Ordinary. So whether it is whether it will be of my use or not, will I be able to make my friends? Will I be able to make my classes? Will I be able to interact with the teachers? Or how I'm going to interact with the teachers? What type of thing is going to interest me the most? All these things are going to go jumble in your mind. So when you are being uh, asked to just deliver a kind of a thought of yours in an induction program or in the orientation program of yours, lots and lots thought lot of thoughts will incur and flood in your mind, and you will be just whether you will be able to deliver all of them or you won't be able to say anything. So in such a situation, you need to calm yourself. You need to deliver all the thoughts which you actually want, which you actually need to communicate. So in this type of orientation or the induction program or induction way of communication, what we are doing is we are breaking the ice of people. We are breaking the ice of people and the students that you all are part and parcel of this particular family. So you need to actually be believe in you, and you need to believe that whatever you are saying or doing is of utmost important and is going to be of utmost important to you in the later on of your in the later parts of your life. So that was the type of communication which you actually want us. So let's make a quick recap of it. That what we have actually discussed in the later on communication. Later on, we discussed that communication is simply the act of transferring the information from one place to another person in the another place. Effective communication is the lifeblood of every organization. Type of communication is and details of it. Oral communication meaning we have discussed. Two definitions of oral communication we have discussed. Need of oral communication, advantages, disadvantages, types of oral communication, and what does it actually want it to be. So that was all about my oral communication topic. And to the best of my knowledge and to the best of my ability, I have delivered an understandable topic of oral communication. I hope you have liked it and you will be able to relate it in your personal life. For any kind of information, for any kind of information of any type or any nature, you will be you're most welcome. You're most welcome to contact me anytime during the class hours. Or you can mail me, you can WhatsApp me up the way you feel it fit to be. Thank you.